Hello everyone and welcome to the final stream of the day. This is game 6 starting in 8 minutes. Well, we've seen some pretty great chess today, I have to say, from Joel and from Leela. The last game was quite amazing somehow. I was sure that Joel had set up a really great fortress. Yeah, me too. Very excited too. And Leela just proved that it wasn't a fortress, or at any rate that it wasn't as easy as it might have looked. Definitely going to have a look at that one to see whether it worked or not. But it was quite beautiful endgame play. All, of course, played instantly by Leela as well. You know, which is always the amazing thing. So it's 3-2 to Joel. I mean, in all fairness, I think Joel's really been bossing a lot of the games. You know, the first 4 games, a little bit of luck, he might have got 4-0 actually, but it was 3-1. And then with this game here, it's now 3-2, and final game to go for today. And then on Monday, we've got 2 more games. Definitely a toughie for Joel. I think the tiredness is you're definitely gonna feel that. It's definitely gonna kick in a little bit. He's playing beautifully so far. I think the last game was the first opening, in actual fact, where you felt that Leela had kind of got a sort of position that it really liked somehow. So real potential to squeeze and to cause back some problems for Black's pieces not to be well placed. But yeah, I mean, Joel got out of it really well, actually. He gave back some material, just sort of managed to absorb the tactics. And when it got to this type of position, you sort of felt, well, in principle, Black's still better here. It's just always awkward, these type of positions, playing against an engine like Leela, because you need to be quite accurate as Black, really, to stop White from putting his pieces perfectly, getting control, and then starting to squeeze a bit against your weakened king side. And that's always hard for humans to do over a long period of time. But Joel survived that quite well, and then just somehow seems like the decision to move to a fortress was just not the right one somehow. But it took some extraordinary endgame play, to prove that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's from a match point of view, this today's been quite important. I think I think it's. The first day looked so convincing for Joel, really. I think Leela managed to just scrape a draw there in the third game. With an amazing fortress somehow. This today seemed a little bit more even, I guess, where Leela's managing to show some of its skill as well. In general, you definitely have to say that Joel's played absolutely beautifully and could have scored even more points. So great little match, really, and very much looking forward to this final game. So thanks for all the trusty band of followers who keep on coming back for more. I think it's definitely delivering a very, very nice match indeed. And something just very unusual, right? It's you don't see something like this anywhere else, but with Leela and with engine chess somehow. So really, really very nice. Yeah, I mean, these was very really was a very, very very, very tricky ending, a very beautiful endgame. Actually, it's you get a little bit blasé, I suppose, seeing them happen between between engines somehow. Yeah, somehow it hits you even more when you see it played in a computer against human game. Just how absolutely amazing it is somehow. Because yeah, I mean, I was looking at it and thinking, wow, this must be an easy fortress somehow, and I do tend to think that it probably is a fortress, but yeah, obviously easy is way overstating it. Yeah, have to have a little look to see whether this move f5 that I was suggesting is any good, but yeah, maybe not. Who knows? Can tell you it's definitely easier commentating than playing, and I'm exhausted, so commentating. So can only imagine how Joel's feeling, but he's doing a really great job so far. Yeah, current standing 3-2 in favour of Joel. So it's. I think it's turning out to be, yeah, I mean, I think maybe this time control is a bit more in human favour than engine favour, but yeah, I mean, it's I think it's sort of that's sort of camouflaged a bit by the fact that Joel's played so well, really. And that's the problem, right? I mean, you played absolutely beautifully, and then it looks so easy, and people say, oh, it's not really a challenge. In the same way, in a way that with David Navarro, somehow he made it look so smooth when he played Leela at Night Odds 6-7 months ago, that you don't realize just how amazing it is. And it's so yeah, I think I think a lot of GMs would struggle at these time odds to do what Joel's doing at the moment. I think he's playing really, really well. So yeah, no, brilliant, really, 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 really nice. So and Larry was saying that that LeelaKnightOdds been playing lots of games today as well. So whilst it's taking on Joel, it's also playing other games. I think it only conceded, apart from the draw it conceded against Joel, it's only conceded one other draw today, beating lots of IMs and GMs at NightOdds. So yeah, I mean, really, at shorter time controls, it is absolutely awesome. It is really incredible. But yeah, I mean, I would say that this is really really an amazingly good training for converting positions. If you can convert some of these positions against Leela, then you're going to be able to do it against any human player, guaranteed. So yeah, really a very good test of technique, and it's very hard to test technique, actually, because you need to do it with stress, with the stress of practical play, with with an opponent resisting somehow. It's very hard to practice that somehow. So this could be really brilliant. One more draw against a very strong player, says Larry. So yeah, 2 draws in the day, not bad, not bad at all. So let's have a look. Right now, should be starting very soon. Yeah, just look on my channel, Samuel. Got a full video of the match with interviews with Awanda as well. Just yeah. Hey, we've got an F4 from Leela. Way, I do like that. And I don't believe that Joel has had that yet against Leela, which is quite surprising in actual fact. 237 games in the past month with one F4. Yeah, just look on the Silicon Road website, Samuel, and you will find it. Silicon Road Chess. No, not coming to Blackpool next week, I'm afraid. It's not playing at all, really. So yes, F4. This is very interesting. So this was rather unpleasant for Awanda, actually. I mean, Awanda did an amazing job, but I think the game where he played against one F4 was probably his worst one. He just got kind of confused, I think, with the with what Leela was doing there, and it is very confusing. So yeah, and actually, what's quite interesting is, as I said, Joel does not seem to have had a 1f4 yet. So this will be a little bit of a surprise. I mean, 1f4, you can play, you know, all sorts of reversed Dutch openings, and I mean, you know, often leads to reverse Leningrad or whatever. But somehow that extra tempo for White never really seems to give White that much. I remember there was a game between between Magnus Carlsen and Michael Adams at the London Classic, and Magnus played 1f4 and got into a horrific scrape. Really got into a terrible trouble. And then yeah, and then afterwards somehow managed to escape and win. But yeah, you know, still it was not. Sorry, I've I noticed something maybe went a bit wrong, but we've had knight f6 from d3 and then d5 and c3. This is how Leela's doing it. No, Leela doesn't play the King's Gambit. Leela plays f takes c5 if you go for the from. But d5. Wait a minute. It was what was it? It was knight f6, d3, d5. Trying to get the old move order right. d3. Yes, we've had this position. I've got 4 games in the past month with this. What's the idea of c3? Well, Leela wants to play either queen c2 or queen a4 and then play a quick e4. So this sort of structure with a pawn on e4, f4, very common structure for Leela in all sorts of openings. Also plays that as black quite a lot as well. Just this sort of, it's like a flowing opening somehow, you know, 2 pawns, 2 pawns, 2 pawns. And Leela seems to feel that this is a good, yeah, that this is a good way of playing. Now I'm quite happy to see an f4 as well. Indeed, you know, it's very happy to see that. So c5, 2 games, and now knight f3. So there's quite a few transpositions. So now I've got 5 games in the past month with this. Seeing knight c6, seeing bishop f5, and also bishop g4 has been played as well. Knight c6 is the most common. Yeah, can do all sorts of things. So knight c6 has been played, and now g3 from Leela. So it's a real reversed Leningrad with the slight problem that the there's no knight on b1. So Joel going for a g6. So we're back into kind of a main line somehow. Leningrad. Okay. Bishop g2, bishop g7, castles, and now Leela's queen a4. So Leela's played 2 moves actually in this position. Played bishop d2 and queen a4, and I would have thought queen c2 as well. But I've now got 3 games still in this line. There's bishop d7, which is met by the slightly surprising queen c2, and there's d4, which is met by the also slightly surprising queen a3, targeting the c5 pawn. So yeah, it's all a little bit confusing from Leela, this, but very interesting indeed. Yeah, I wonder was quite impressed with the with what Leela does in the in these reverse Dutch positions, in these birds positions. So yeah, wouldn't be amazed to see a Wanda playing something like this as White sometime later in the future. Yeah, no, it's true. You always wonder where to put this knight. You end up putting it on a3, c2, whatever. So yeah, just get rid of the piece, and then all of a sudden you've got reasonable development somehow. Yeah, what we often see Leela doing as well is a quick h3 and g4. Sometimes doesn't even play g3, but plays h3, g4. That's also quite common somehow. I mean, the venom in a way to this move, Queen A4, is that black often plays B6 and bishop B7, so the queen's just stopping that basically. It's just kind of irritating as a move, and if you go bishop D7, then Leela wants to go back to C2, claiming that this bishop is not so great here, and it can't go on this diagonal anymore, which means that this bishop will get more powerful. It's a little bit what you see with the in the Catalan actually. I'll just show you. Oh, oh yeah, no, I can show you. Just imagine a knight on B1, but you get this bishop B4 check, bishop D2, bishop E7. And the idea of that is that ideally, in a Catalan position, white would play the move B3 and bishop B2, and also go knight F3, knight BD2, castles. I get that sort of structure. So by checking and moving back, waste the tempo, but you get the bishop away from its ideal square. And that's pretty much the idea. So Joel's gone D4, and we've got Queen A3. I've got one game in there. Queen A3. So Queen B6 is the game I've got. King H1. Who's this against? Oh, this is actually against a pretty strong player that this was played. 2700. And this is 3+2. So let me just show you how that game went. That went bishop E6, bishop D2. Rook A8, rook A1, bishop D5. Leela played C4 and then H3, doing Leela's normal stuff here. Bishop C8, so a little bit of shuffling from Leela. Rook F2, E5. We got, I mean, so far you'd sort of say that black's doing pretty well here, but unfortunately black had allowed this one by capturing the pawn on E5. We got this little trick, which was rather nasty. And after Queen D6 takes Queen A7. I mean, still not bad, right? Because I mean, these dark squares are kind of horrific somehow, and black certainly did a pretty good job of getting in there. Rook H5, it looked, you know, really dangerous there. Bishop H3, Queen D7. So you're sort of thinking, wow, black's just winning, but somehow Leela found this incredible defense, check, and Queen H2 to block everything, Queen H4, and then Rook F6. And yeah, Leela finished it off. And black resigned because, yeah, you are completely lost. You're just going to take on there, go Rook H1, and you're just winning somehow. Yeah. Well, you sort of see it's the typical sort of kind of crazy stuff somehow. But yeah, Leela's already beaten a very strong player at 3+2 this month. Catalan exchange sacrifice with B6. I think those are generally thought to be sort of okay for black. I mean, I think in terms of openings, the engines are generally in consensus. You know, if you for anything that's vaguely mainline, what Stockfish thinks, Leela will think as well. It's more in the margins that that the differences really occur. So yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge for Joel, this one, obviously, because yeah, it's just a very unusual position. I don't think I've ever seen Queen A4 in these lines normally, which, you know, it's one of those things that makes you say, well, actually, why not? Let me just have a quick look to see whether I can whether this has ever been done before in normal chess with a knight on B1. D3, bishop G7, C3, castles. Queen A4, let's have a look. What have we got? Just 5 games and nobody good. Well, nobody good. You know, nobody above 2300 basically playing this. So yeah, very unusual, but maybe worth it somehow. Yeah. So Queen B6, King H1. So we're still following the previous game here. I mean, I wonder actually whether Black played Bishop E6 just to cover the B3 square, maybe to give to have an idea of playing Queen A5, maybe, or something like that. Swap off the queens. Obviously, Bishop D2 kind of holds that back really, because you just end up winning 2 pawns there, which is a little bit too much of a good thing. But I do quite like what what Black did somehow. But there are many good plans. I mean, one interesting idea, to be honest. So we're just following this game here. I mean, C4 just struck me as something that might be quite interesting there. Obviously, if you can kind of liquidate this, it's quite common. I mean, you do see this idea quite often, C4, just trying to punch a hole on E4, and get something like this. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, some move like C4 here would not be stupid either. Takes. I don't know, maybe go E3 or something, but it looks a little bit ropey somehow. So I quite like Bishop E6 somehow as an idea there. I mean, you can do lots of other things there. I mean, you can put the bishop on F5 as well. That's not stupid at all. I mean, one idea for white might be to play knight D2 to C4, but that's possible. And putting the bishop on E6 does dissuade that idea as well. Yeah, knight G4 to E3 is not really. Normally, it's not so amazing, but that's normally because you've got a knight somewhere on C2. It might actually be a decent idea in this position. One idea for white is to play knight G5 to E4 to attack that pawn. But yeah, I mean, knight G4 would be probably quite reasonable in this position as well. Yeah, Queen A5. It would lose a pawn, and of course, after Queen A5, you could play Queen B3. I guess, I mean, I think that's why Black played Bishop E6, but I said Bishop D2 kind of stopped Queen A5 there. It's been played. Bishop E6, Bishop D2. I wonder whether Joel knows this game or whether he's, he's thinking it out for himself. But we're still following a previous game then. It's great, isn't it? I mean, with Leela playing so many games with night odds, you've kind of got odds theory, So I do, well, yeah. I mean, you do sort of feel somehow that that maybe at some stage, odds chess at chess 960 will be the way to go. Because then I think you'll never be able to prepare against Leela, and yeah, you'll still have the benefit of the odds chess there, all that Leela can offer for that. So that's probably going to be the end stage, I guess, in terms of that. But well, as you can see at the moment, there is plenty enough. 3-2 to Joel at the moment. Hollywood. Yeah, I don't know. Not quite sure. I mean, I'm quite tempted with moves like c4 or d takes c3 and then c4. I do quite like the idea of not having my queen tied down to this pawn somehow, you know. So, you know, playing c4 or playing takes and c4 does feel vaguely tempting. Obviously, you know, the queen is in the way, so we are getting targeted, but I don't think it's so bad. And yeah. I mean, as always, there are stuff like this, but if you get the exchange of queens like that, then you know you're going to be happy. Simply, I think. So odds 960. Oh, 2020, Komodo and Alex Lenderman. Wow. Yeah, I mean, night odds in 960 would be a bit wild. I think. Yeah, it's would definitely be a bit wild. I do like the idea of c4, unless there's something, you know, drastically wrong with it, but I'm not really sure. The point is, I mean, even if I lose a pawn somehow, I just have the feeling that I'm, you know, that the position's getting opened, and I've got sort of the pieces to exploit that somehow, you know. So I feel that's really pretty good, you know. Knight g5, I go bishop g4, hitting e2. I would think that c4 would be a decent move here, to be honest. Oh, sorry, I'm yawning a little bit. Oh, I've got to work tomorrow. Oh, dear me. But I will be there for games 7 and 8, starting bishop d5. He's yeah, c4. So this is quite. He hasn't played rook d8 like Black did, but it's pretty much the same. This was the stuff we'd seen, h3, and well, Joel's gone bishop d5, c4, and h3. So we're following pretty similar sort of you know, sort of approach there. I have to say, I'm oh, 1920. Oh, my goodness. Night odds and more possibilities. If Leela played Vaikanze, giving the rest of the field night odds. I don't know, really. Long play games, 2 hours. You would think that that level of players in the Masters tournament would mostly win with that sort of time control. But obviously, you're not 100% sure. But I think the time control should be, you know, should help an awful lot. Yeah, I kind of feel like h5 would not be a bad move, really, just to stop Leela from playing g4. So I think the knights, you know, I think Black will be very solid on like this with the bishop on f5. Seems quite decent to me. Especially, it's going to take you a while, you know, to play e5 somehow. So you might as well stop white from gaining any space like that. Yeah, I mean, in 960, I think there would be a lot of struggling against Leela at night odds. Oh yeah, double FRC without odds, but starting with +2, +3 positions. Yeah, also interesting, Mr. Beats. It's true. But yeah, you know, I mean, in general terms, I think the you know, the level of chess 960, the elite players, is quite a bit below their level in in chess. Both rooks with knights. Wow. Oh, that would be incredible. That would be an amazing bit of odds. Yeah, this is a little bit. They're quite tough, these positions with black. I mean, I always find Leningrad's, you know, a little bit tough. Sometimes I've won really beautiful games, and other times I've just been felt a bit confused with what my opponent's doing. So, yeah, these are quite tricky openings somehow. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think Joel's really a 1d4 player somehow. With whites, I don't think he's got a vast amount of experience playing the white side against the Dutch Leningrad. I don't think so. It's been a very long time since I've looked at his games, maybe 25 years or something. So I could be wrong, but and he might have changed in the meantime. But I don't think so. I think Joel was always, he had a lot of different systems somehow. He was more a sort of, duck and weave kind of openings player rather than a systems man. He's having quite a long think here. Yeah, I said I do quite like the idea of playing h5 in general. I suppose you just get nervous with stuff, right? And the thing about h5, I suppose, is that white might play knight h4 and then play f5. That might be quite irritating, come to think of it. Yeah, I mean, the plan that this 2700 player played. Yeah, I think odds 960 would be pretty amazing, to be honest. But a5 from Joel, and now rook f2. Oh, is Joel going to play a4 now? Is he going to try and pin down this queen to a3? I think he might be, Actually, he's going to, come to think of it, if you play a4 and then you go knight b4, you're threatening knight c2, winning the queen. That could be quite cunning. a4 now. That could be quite decent, I think a4 was quite decent. What on earth is white doing, actually? I mean, when you go knight b4, you've got to watch out for this idea of knight d4. Takes here. But it's not clear that knight d4 is working. I've got various things, even knight g4, for example, as an idea. So he's gone knight e8. Okay, g4, knight d6. And rook g1. Wow. Any prizes? No prizes for getting what Leela's teeing up for. Oh, queen b2. I guess that was possible. That's very cunning, Robert. But it feels a bit desperate, really, doesn't it? And not going to be possible anymore. So I think we should go a4 in this position. And I'm wondering what Leela will do. I mean, it's quite a big threat, right? I mean, you come around here afterwards as well. Yeah, I think a4 is quite a nice idea. That's the hill I'm going to die on. I mean, I suppose that we can do stuff like f5, I suppose. I mean, but black can always retreat. I mean, this doesn't feel like we've got a winning attack yet for white, not with the queen stuck over here. You know, I mean, if my queen was on h4, I'd be worried, but with the queen on a3, not particularly. Quite apart from, I'm not even sure why I can't take on here. I mean, there'll be some reason why there's some awkwardness in it, but yeah, I don't know. I do like the idea of a4. I'm really very keen on a4. I think Joel's done quite decently here, actually. I mean, you know, what I could even do is go a4 and then follow up with queen b4 and just exchange off the queens that way. I mean, that's surely pretty good, right? That's got to be positive, right? That you're swapping off the queens. Oh, Joel. Joel. f5. Queen a4. Leela's bringing the queen back into play. Yeah, this is a bit complicated. It's a bit complicated, or getting a bit complicated, this. Starting to get a little bit worried. It's not easy to get rid of these pieces. I mean, you can take this guy. I mean, that is completely legal. And I don't really know what Leela's intending, whether Leela's intending anything particular, or whether we're just going to go something like bishop c1 or something and just say, okay, you can have my pawn. Meanwhile, I'm going to be heading back to the king side. Don't mind me. But I think Joel missed an opportunity, to be honest, with a4. I think that was really quite a powerful way, and you could just swap off the queens, you know, force it with queen b4, and then yeah, well, you know, nothing terrible can happen to you. I mean, you're just a piece up basically, and you know, must be pretty good. This feels a little bit more, I'm a little bit more worried somehow. Yeah, I mean, if a queen pops up over here, then it's curtains somehow. Because you don't actually have many pieces on the king side defending. They've all moved away. So I'm, yeah, a little bit nervous somehow about how this is going. But okay, I mean, you know, you know, obviously black's still winning, right? So, but it is, you're just a little bit nervous about it. I think queen there. I think I will go bishop c1 there, and then after here I'll come around there, and then at some stage I want to go bishop d2, queen e1, move the rook out of the way, and then pop out here. And with doubled rooks on the g file, it's going to be very dangerous indeed. Yeah, c takes b4, Mr. Beads. I was saying a4. Yeah, just make a random move. Queen b4. This is what I was looking for. You may be a fortress expert, Mr. Beads, but you need some work on your queen trapping. Yeah, I mean, the question is whether I mean, I certainly wouldn't recommend it, but what you could try is move like knight e5, queen d1, and then fg, or maybe takes first and then takes knight e5. You know, and you're looking for knight g4 somehow. I mean, if you've seen Leela Queen odds, then you know, you start looking at this and saying, "Oh, maybe this is quite dangerous." You know, which is kind of true, right? I mean, this is not. I could lose this in a blitz game with black, but yeah, Joel's taken on b2 and bishop c1 now, which is what we were expecting. Yeah, so this is what we had on our in our analysis, and yeah, what is White's intention? White is going to play maybe a3, maybe bishop d2, and the queen's got to come out to h4. That's what has to happen. I mean, bear in mind there that if the queen's got a path to h4, you can play knight h7 because king h7, queen h4 check. Whoa, g takes f5. I had not expected g takes f5. Oh. Are we teeing up? Are we teeing up? We are teeing up, I think. Gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts. We may be teeing up for some sacks. I had not expected this at all. But obviously, Leela was a little bit concerned about e6, but what's going to happen here? So if we go knight, I mean, there's knight f5. Gf5 I definitely wouldn't recommend. I mean, I think we probably just go e4 or something, and we've got these threats. So you just don't want to open the g file, that's clear. All the other moves are completely possible. The patented evening walk. All right, what are we going to do? Bishop f5 looks like the most solid in a way, just reinforcing some stuff. So what is Leela going to do to us then? That is the question. I'm just wondering how to do this. I mean, I really do want to play e4, I think. h4 would also be possible somehow. Something like e4, you know, does seem quite tempting. You take off, then I take off like this. Feels like I'm starting, but something like the queen can make some sort of problems here. So I'm not 100% sure. I could maybe play knight e4 in that case. And I'll get hit by e6 at some stage. And the bishop on e3 is going to be hanging as well. So it's not... knight f5 played, okay. And h4. Yeah, knight f5, I'm a little bit... I understand the point. It's just I kind of wanted more support of my g6 and h7 pawn somehow. This is quite dangerous, this. This is one of those Leela... This is one of those irrational Leela positions somehow. You know, it's... I'm really a bit worried for Joel here. This is not a nice thing to play against somehow when Leela's just sacking pawns and not caring, you know. Because I mean, what we're aiming for, we're aiming for something like e4, like h5. So, for example, say a random move, it's h5 takes and then e4 is what we're aiming for. Takes queen h5, this sort of attack. You know, might even you might even just play knight h7 first and then e4, and then takes check, check, and presumably something like a mate, bishop b2 check, rook h2, that sort of thing. e6, bishop e4. Okay, so that's good. At least you've blocked the line of the king. The downside is that the bishop's pointing towards g6 h7. Yeah, I mean, I think Leela's the favorite in this position, right? Yeah, I think Leela's the big favorite here in this position. I think Joel's going to have to. Yeah, he's really going to have to. He's going to have to pull out a hell of a defensive performance. Not that he's worse or that there's anything, right? But it's just in terms of the size of the challenge, it's just a toughie. I mean, I think the first thing you've got to try and do is just start exchanging off pieces, right? So knight f7 looks good. I mean, bishop c6 would also be possible, but the problem is that when I take on there, I've got to do something with my piece. So I sort of do feel that knight f7 here would be the indicated move. And then the question is, oh, he's got knight f3. Yeah, I was vaguely wondering actually whether knight h7 and h5 was possible. This is how my bullet games are tending to look, but Leela's taking it easy with knight f3. Yeah, I mean, maybe you should just try and consolidate yourself. You know, put the rook on g7, maybe covers, reinforces those two, and then afterwards you're going to try and start offering exchanges and that sort of thing. Maybe not so crazy. %26% win rate. My goodness me. Yeah, Leela's playing instantly is quite tough somehow, yeah? But only 26% win rate. That's amazing, actually. I would have thought that this would be the sort of position that Leela's really aiming for. But certainly feels difficult for a human player to defend against. There's no sort of threats yet, but yeah, you feel that they're going to come somehow. And quite a simple plan for white, really. You know, rook h2 and then h5. That's why I do quite like this idea. Just bishop f6, rook g8 to g7. And then we're going to start putting a few pressure points on the white position and see, what sort of reaction that gets. I think it's quite good still. Joel's all right with Joel's all right with time there. He's played bishop f6, rook h2, and now I'm expecting rook g8 here. That would seem quite natural. You might be able to play h5 if you go rook g8. You might be able to do that. Yeah. Oh, is that working? It wasn't working. I thought that wasn't working last time. But, so h5 played. Yeah, I think Leela was worried about black playing h5 and then getting the knight into g4. So yeah. Now I would have thought that you were going to take on h5. That would be my my feeling here. No, I'm not 100% sure what you're doing here because there's a threat of a knight coming into g3 here. But I suppose we could take on there because knight g3, would this be anything? I'm not sure, actually. Maybe it's not that much. I want to play here and here, but I can't get my king across somehow. Yeah, so g takes h5 played. Joel's playing this really well. Rook h5 played. It really has been played. Wow. Well, this is quite interesting. This is a bit crazy. Ah, okay. Yeah, okay. So knight g3 check. That's got to be crucial, yeah? I mean, there's a couple of things. I mean, I could take on there, right? Takes and here. And I'm trying to work out. I mean, presumably we have to go knight g5 then. Because I can't imagine I can't make this work somehow. So, but I'm kind of intrigued about knight g3. Takes. Doesn't look that bad. Maybe I sort of do something like this, maybe. Bishop d2, I've managed to get my queen across. I'm not sure. I mean, how dangerous is this? Doesn't look that dangerous, really. Yeah, it's not ideal for Joel, this position to calculate. I mean, queen's a bit offside, but he's done a good job of keeping his pieces, reasonably entrenched there somehow. So yeah. But obviously, it's a little bit, yeah, it's just a little bit scary, of course. I'm actually wondering if I go rook g3, maybe I'll take with a king. Actually, that might be an idea. The idea being that after here I come here, and then I'm going to go queen h1 afterwards. Not so stupid. But yeah, I don't see anything dramatic here, really. I mean, yeah. I would think that I would go here. Let's say queen b2 takes and queen e1. This looks pretty natural, I think. The rook goes to g7, and now maybe I do something, but I find it hard to bring my queen in, really. That's the problem. Maybe I shouldn't go queen e1. Maybe I should go queen f1. I'll start sort of soaring away at this guy somehow. So you've got to have a good plan somehow. I mean, what I wanted to do was to go bishop e1 and get the queen off to h3, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's looking Chandler. No, I mean, it feels a bit of a dodgy attack, this, really. That is true, Mr. Beads. But it is quite scary for black, obviously, facing an engine. But yeah, I mean, I was saying that Black didn't really have that many pieces to defend the king, but somehow they seem to have moved away, but now they seem to have moved back somehow. So you know, actually ended up with quite a few guys sort of supporting here. So Joel's done it really well. But it's a little bit nerve-wracking to pardon me, to play a move like knight g3, but yeah. Oops, sorry. But I don't know. I can't really see why you wouldn't really. I mean, the main reason why you wouldn't is if you thought that rook takes g1 was even stronger, but both look quite good, to be honest. But I would have, yeah, I think if you can't see anything wrong with it, then it would be a good idea to go for it somehow, I think. I mean, the problem is Black's very quick. You know, Black's playing bishop c6 very quickly to challenge this guy. So I don't really, you know, I'd like to play an e3 and somehow get my queen out, but I don't see it happening really. I mean, I only see this and then this knight's doing an excellent job here. You know, this doesn't, I'm struggling to generate very much here. So yeah, I mean, big moment for Joel. He's taking his time anyway, so you know, that's good. I think he's still got a choice of promising continuations, I think. But it seems to me that knight g3 is pretty good. I don't know whether he'll. I mean, another thing that you could do is just play bishop c6 as well. That was another idea. King g1, that's what we expected. So the king's going to head over here, and then we're going to play the queen over to h1. In all fairness, I think that maybe bishop c6 would be a good idea here. You know, leave this guy on here for now. I mean, rook g8 check should be quite good. King f2. Then you're going to go rook g7, I guess. I go queen h1 there. Maybe king g8. Just make sure that you're not going to get horrifically mated. And yeah, I mean, who knows, right? I mean, you can play h6 and maybe get the king out of the way, for example. Whoa. Yeah, draws on 25 minutes. It's not bad. It's not bad. Still got some stuff to do to sort things out. But, I mean, he might end up bringing the queen back. That was quite a decent human move as well. Rook g7, queen h1 played. King g8 looks quite natural to me. So I mean, you are actually threatening knight g3, you know, then. I'm not quite sure what the what Leela's cunning plan is here. I mean, I'm guessing that Leela is going to play knight g5 somehow. And then I'm not sure. I could take with the bishop. The thing is, the one thing I'm a bit nervous about is something like bishop e5 and then the queen coming out to d5, these sort of things. So maybe what I would do is just take with the bishop there. And then do something solid like this, for example. Or queen to b6. I mean, that looks like you're still doing, you know, very, very well indeed with black. I mean, in some ways, that queen on the black queen, you feel like, oh, you know, could I make something of it somehow? But I'm not really sure. I think king g8 is sensible. Just get your king out of the way. King g8 or queen b6. Those would be the two moves that I would be keen on. In principle, black's doing very, very well, I think. But probably, I think you'd want to keep your knight on f7. If white goes knight g5, I think you'd rather exchange off your bishop and keep the knight on f7 to defend stuff. I think you also want your king out of this battery here. So, yeah. So, yeah, king g8. Probably knight g5, I think. Now take with the bishop, play queen b6, and yeah. Yeah, b5, it's just, I'm a bit... The problem with b5 is that it stops me from playing bishop c6, and it gives the queen a path to a8. Just makes me a little bit nervous, that sort of move. I want to keep things tight at the back. That's... And I'm kind of tempted to leave the queen on b4 and maybe move it forwards into white's territory, but I'm a bit nervous about it. So I think probably discretion is the better part of valor, and we should just move the queen back. But yeah. 21 minutes, 35 seconds for Joel. Yeah, again, yeah, no, it's true. There's a few reasons to be nervous about b5, I think. But yeah, I mean, again, I think you can see that Joel's time is it's very important to have some time here to think about everything, because You could easily make a big mistake here by if you needed to rush somehow. Well, I mean, why it's a big problem is getting that dark squared bishop involved. It's always a bit of a problem piece in it's a light squared bishop when it's black playing, of course, but it's always a bit of a problem in these Leningrad type situations, the queen's bishop. And we're definitely not getting it active somehow. That knight on f5 has done a really good job of keeping everything caged in. Queen b6, that's very... Knight g5. Now kind of expecting bishop takes g5 now. Yeah, I mean, maybe we can go queen d6 here. Looks quite promising. If I do something like queen h3, for example, I want to play something like bishop c6. What you've got to watch out for is the move g6, whilst this pin is still on there. But it's not actually that clear somehow because, you know, I'm sort of coming into stuff, and this knight is very powerful for protecting. So Joel's taken with a bishop. Excellent. Joel's playing really well again. Yeah, g6 is sort of a threat, although I'm not sure how devastating it actually is. Not very, I don't think. I think it would be sensible. Yeah. It would be kind of nice to stop bishop f4, I think. So queen d6 seems quite, you know, quite sensible. Yeah, if I go king g8, then maybe I go bishop f4, you know, and just control a few things. It's not huge or anything, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, we can have bishop c6 as well there. Could also try bishop b7, I suppose, which would be quite interesting, just to stop black from playing bishop to c6. You know, that's the only thing that you're trying to achieve, just to stop that from happening. Not impossible. This one's quite interesting as well. Oh, queen d6 played, and now bishop f5. Okay, I was wondering about this. So black's going to take on f5, and now queen b7. So Leela's sort of moved it around, really. I think sort of king side attack, direct king side attack. Leela's sort of given up on that for now, and Leela's just going for the confusion element with you know, dark squares and everything basically. But in general, I'm not very impressed with this. I mean, actually, knight e5 looks really quite dangerous. Bishop f4, there's knight d3, which is important. And otherwise, I mean, knight g4 is quite a big threat, really. Maybe Leela's going to move back here, maybe. Would that be possible? I still think this is quite dangerous. Queen g3, and I'll have bishop a4 checks, maybe. F4 played. Queen F3. So F4 was to block. F4 was to block the attack on the pawn on G5. Now this is quite interesting. What have we got here? So if you take on there, I'm going to take and take here, I think. Now I've got check and here. And well, I've got check on here, or if I want to be annoying and Leela, I can take on there. So knight G5 is not possible. So what is then? I mean, rook G5 immediately, I go bishop F4. Which is not how we like things, I think. No. So I mean, you would have thought surely we can kind of force the exchange of queens. The problem is this is not going to be so easy to win for black, because all these pawns are on dark squares. You lose the C5 pawn, everything else goes somehow. Yeah, knight E5, we've got bishop F4 here, which is kind of... So obviously rook E7, I've got bishop E5. So if you go knight F3, I take there. So knight G5, I've got bishop E5. You could go rook G5. That is conceivable. I mean, this is kind of not sure about this. Would you be winning this? You're the wrong coloured rook pawn with this one, and you're getting in D4, D5. I think Leela will probably hold a draw there. Yeah, I mean, F4 felt like a good idea, but somehow not quite doing it for me. Yeah, I'm wondering whether I can play something like bishop C6 and just sort of force queen F4 like this, and then do something like rook G6. So at least I'm keeping an eye on this pawn. I'm keeping this rook and this bishop under wraps. They're not getting at my pawns yet. Would not be easy to win. This is a solid pawn structure, but it looks sensible. The other thing you could do, I suppose, is meet bishop C6 with queen H3. I don't know whether that's good or not. Probably not, I would have thought. I think probably this is best. Maybe go E3 or something like that. Yeah, I have to say, Larry, I'm tending to think that I really am thinking that Leela's going to draw this. There's loose pawns everywhere, you know, and solid structure for white. So I think that's kind of, Joel's getting a little bit short of time here. Not crucial or anything, but yeah, I mean, I think bishop c6 would be probably quite decent. I think everything else just looks a little bit ropey. Yeah, Joel's played it. Oh, queen f4, make main line. So yeah, is Joel gonna take the queens? And I suppose you could go queen g6 here. Certainly not crazy. Wonder what Leela's planning against that. Maybe just queen h2, something like that. Queen h2, then bishop f4 afterwards. That's maybe quite sensible. The king can move away round to here. Ah, Joel took off. I thought he would. Oh, that's a cunning idea. Looking for bishop a3. Okay, but so just imagine black plays king g8. Let's just say that one. What are we doing here? I mean, maybe Leela's just going to say we go here then, simply. We looked at similar lines to this already. I mean, I guess that this is going to end up as a draw somehow. Yeah, I wonder what the actual. I mean, maybe Joel plays knight d8 in this position. How about that? That's probably quite decent, yeah. And then put the knight on e6, covering c5 and attacking g5. That must be a good move. I mean, what I'm really thinking about is putting my knight on e8. I want my bishop to come over to g6, and then my rook can sort of run free. That would seem quite. That would seem quite decent somehow. Joel's a little short of time, really, 10 minutes, but still all right. Obviously, got quite a big increment as well. I think knight d8 to e6 would be quite a good way to play. Just looks very solid. The knight's very good. Yes, excellent. Well done, Joel. E3. Right. Wasn't really expecting that, to be honest. So, knight e6. What is Leela doing? Taking on d4, I guess. But this looks quite decent for black. I'm not quite sure what I want to do. Take on d4, maybe, like that. Gives me c5 for the knight. Pawn to attack. There's no way for the white king to get in somehow, yeah? So it's looking quite promising for black, I have to say. Oh, d takes e3. It's not easy for black to... And this pawn's weak, and if this rook moves, then... Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it makes a lot of sense to try and bring the bishop to g6, especially now that the d3 pawn is there. But it's probably not that easy to organize, it must be said. If I go bishop e8, then rook e4, and then rook to e5 happens, which is not what, certainly not what you're looking for. So that's probably the idea. I mean, king g8 is sensible, right? Just to, then I'm not quite sure. Not sure what Leela's going to do there. Yeah, Joel's played king g8, king f. Oh, king f1. Ooh. Oh, it's maybe. Are we maybe allowing ourselves to get counterplay like that? Is that what we're trying to do? Possibly. I mean, I think you might well play just a4 here, just to get a 50% to draw. That seems fair enough. A4 seems sensible to at least put a pawn on the light square. It's not easy to sort of see how black's gonna. I mean, you could just go knight g5, you know, and you take on g5, and then you just bishop takes c5, and then you just sort of play somehow. But it's going to be tough to win that one against Leela. But it's probably not a bad idea. It's kind of difficult, really. I mean, you know, the king's tied down to the h7 pawn. Oh, no, that's true. Yeah, there are no links allowed. Maybe I can. I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to do it. Let me have a look. Yeah, I'm allowed to do it, I think. Yeah, it's a bit of a toughie, this one, to work out because, you know, your king's tied down to the h7 pawn. If your rook moves from g6, you know, your knight can get harassed. Knight takes on g5, the c5 pawn goes. I think, I mean, I would like to get my bishop over to g6 somehow, but I don't know. I don't know whether it's really going to be possible in any sort of good, meaningful way, really. So I'm tending to think that I might need to just take on g5 and then try and get my knight active somehow. But yeah, once this pawn goes, then this pawn moves forward quickly. It's not so easy. Now Jill's down to 6 minutes. Yeah, I don't know. Certainly not very easy to regroup your bishop. So, I mean, you're sort of tending to think that you should do something like this. But whether, yeah, I mean, you sort of need some sort of concrete way to make use of your activity, really, and it's not that easy. Yeah, rook g7 is possible. I was thinking rook h6 simply, actually. Oh, against Zagorskis. Yeah, that was incredible. That was. It was at the Lister Olympiad, actually. But one of my nicest games, I think. Yeah, knight d4 is possible too. Again, yeah, what would Leela do against this? Would Leela take off? Maybe Leela was just going to take off and play d4 to d5. Not easy to win this, you know. Not easy to win this at all. I don't think it's very easy to organize this reroute. Bishop e8, bishop e8, we go rook e4, and then rook e5. So if you go bishop e8, I go rook e4, and then rook e5, and I'm covering everything and attacking the c5 pawn as well. I always play like that, Aziche. I don't always get it, but I always do try and play like that. Ooh, to e7. Interesting. I don't think that's really working, to be honest. Because I mean, it's the wrong coloured bishop for the rook's pawn. This is the big. This is the big. You know, I mean, this pawn is definitely going to go, and then, yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure this is going to work somehow. Yeah, rook e4 is a bit annoying. It's a bit. Yeah. I really would, if I could get the bishop over to g6, it would be brilliant, but I just don't see the way to do it somehow. I don't think, yeah. I'd be amazed if Joel managed to turn this into a win somehow. Wonder what the actual engine evaluation is. Let's just have a quick look what Stockfish says. Minus 2.8. That does surprise me somehow. It's tending to feel that the drawing tendencies are very high here, you know, in this position. But I mean, simply, how do you stop White from winning the c5 pawn? Is my, you know, is my first problem. You've got to avoid, you know, yeah. Bishop a4. Ooh, king e1. Is that legal? I guess it must be. Yeah, that seems good, fair to me. I just can't imagine this really working, to be honest. Though I will say that that knight d4 is possible. Because if we go king d2 now, I go rook e3. So I'm assuming we need to give a checkaroonie. Maybe we come to f6. Like that, maybe. Don't know. Not sure. It seems a little bit strange. Yeah, I don't know. And Joel didn't do that. Went rook 8, rook d7, king d2. No, the pawns are just too weak, simply. I don't... Yeah. It's a bit of a curveball, king e1. Yeah, but... I think once the king's going to come to c3, just hard. I can't see black making this somehow. Yeah, I'm not sure actually. Let's have a look. What was knight d4? I wanted to exchange off the rooks and just play for this position. It's possible. Oh. Sorry, I was just noticed bishop c5 and rook c6, but yeah. I think we should be agreeing a draw here soon, because king f7, there's rook f6 check and takes here, which is not what you want to do. Actually, this is a forced draw, yeah? King d6, bishop g3 now. This is just a draw. This is just a draw. So I don't particularly want Joel to play king f7. That would not be good. But king d6, bishop g3 check is a draw. I think Joel should be, should be fine with that. Two minutes 55. Yeah, I think Leela will take a draw here. So, I mean, in all fairness, Leela's not risking anything by playing on, right? I mean, Leela's not going to blunder this. But oh, I think they're repeating there. They're repeating, I think. I think it's probably going to end in a draw there. Oh God, Larry, that would be hilarious. Leela's playing on. Of course it is. Not for long, I think, though. No draw. I think draw soon. No? That must be a draw. Yay, a draw. Way. Good game. Yeah, pretty thrilling one, that one. Been good games today, haven't they? They've been really, they've been a lot, yeah, a lot tighter somehow. Hey, there's Joel.
It's like every game is the same story, right? It seems like I'm almost there, and then somehow, I don't know. Yeah,
it's tough. Yeah, it was. Really...
And by now I know to look for the surprising simplification. You know, like I saw it coming, but it just happened.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, I think that's the sort of the essence of its of the odds play. That's what makes Leela so tricky somehow, because it doesn't stop. It doesn't keep on going attacking somehow. It knows when to stop and when to go for a difficult end game somehow. It's really that was quite this was really tricky somehow.
Yeah, F4 was certainly bad, but maybe I've actually gone a little bit wrong already.
Yeah, I thought maybe 95.
I thought of it. Yeah, I had that idea, and yeah, I don't know, just afraid to play, but of course activate the knight and just play with an extra piece.
Yes, the problem is, I mean, I was wondering, maybe the white king escapes somehow, and then
it can escape, but I just play on dark squares, I imagine. But of course, you got to be very careful.
I mean, it's definitely not easy to do this at all. I mean, I thought maybe you could put the knight round to g6, and then you'll get an f4, but you'll be kind of solid like that.
Oh, right, my knight was on f7. Yeah, of course. Yeah, 95. It's just I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking with f4. It's just like someplace in the game there's some kind of. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it looks like on the surface a great move, but after queen f4, it's a terrible move because I just none of the knight moves really work. So it just
yeah, no, it's but yeah, I mean, it was really you were so close, because I was getting a bit worried about you, to be honest. When you went f5, and because what I wanted you to do was to play actually instead of f5, I wanted you to play to play a4 somehow. Just keeping the queen there, and actually to play queen b4 next. That was the.
Oh, I didn't think of queen b4. Wow.
Because then I thought you're just bound to be swapping off the queens, and that sort of this didn't feel so convincing somehow.
Yeah, I had this idea to play a4, and with knight b4, but I didn't. Yeah, I just didn't think of queen b4. And then he can't take it with the bishop.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess you're somehow forcing the exchange of queens there. I mean, as always, I mean, you end up taking, and then he gets the b file to have some pressure, but at least you got the queens off somehow, and
well, that would have been good, but I can't really complain because it was rock solid. I just put all my pieces around my king, and there was really no attack. Queen a4. Wow.
Yeah, wow. But this was really nice. This knight d8, and I mean, you really kept those pieces solid somehow, and
exchange whatever you can. Right?
Yeah, and I was really worried about you, but then you just made it look great. So I mean, that was it was, and this was really good as well. This bishop f6, rook g8. It was really.
But it was so crafty the way it centralized its king, which actually cut down a lot of my play against it. So
I mean,
that made it more work.
Yeah, I was looking at knight g3 check. I wasn't.
I know, but I just couldn't. Yeah, I just.
No, I know. Yeah. I couldn't. I couldn't really see what White was doing, but then I didn't really fancy it either.
Yeah, of course, It's, maybe bishop c6 coming. It's probably nothing. It's probably nothing. But yeah, I couldn't bring myself to do that.
Yeah. I mean, what you did was.
But I thought, I put my rook on g7. There's absolutely no threats whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then I just couldn't tell what I wanted to do. I mean, part of me wanted to put the queen on b1.
Yeah. I kept
on saying that. I was thinking about that. Rook,
yeah.
So I know up to rook g7. I know it's all very good. And then, queen b1 was something that I thought about.
Yeah.
But then I thought, like, no, because if I miscalculate that, I'll get some position where it swaps off a lot of things and my king is exposed. So I decided I'll just bring my queen back, and then that should be easy. I mean, of course it is. It should be easy.
It was very good, I think. I mean, it's. I thought you took off that sort of taking with the bishop is good. I mean, you're keeping this knight on f7.
Yeah, I guess if I play knight e5, then all this makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I think knight e5 was probably quite a good move there.
Even here. Well, I wasn't as sure about it here. But yeah, even if I just put it on g6, it's just good on g6.
Yeah, I think that's you just stop the bishop on f4 with the knight rather than with the queen somehow. And with this threat of knight g4, I think he has to move the queen there
because I kind of forced him to take the knight, but then he got all this other kind of play.
Yeah.
I don't really need to force him to take on f5 because I'm going to trade that bishop ultimately anyway.
Yeah.
So that was, I just needed to put the knight in e5 in one of these positions.
Yeah.
Once I get to this end game, I don't know. I mean, maybe the end game is supposed to be winning, but I mean, I didn't think practically it could be won.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just I couldn't see it, to be honest. I mean, I was where were we?
I mean, maybe I should have just put the rook on b7. Well, here I don't know. I mean, I had a chance to put the knight on various squares. I don't know if knight going to e6. I mean, it seems like knight going to e6. It should be good, but somehow
I mean,
the usual waiting.
It feels great. I mean, we were all trying.
So what if I just what did I play? King g8. I put my king on g8, and then it did what?
King f1.
Okay. Oh, it got out of the way of rook g2.
Yeah.
But what if I can I just take on g5 and then come back?
Yeah, this was what we were looking at.
Or maybe I should play a4 first. I don't know, and then try to just bring the rook in.
Yeah.
I just got to get active, I guess.
Yeah. It's just that I don't know. I just wasn't really sure when the pawns start running against Leela.
Yeah, of course you're always afraid of that, but objectively, it's probably
it's great.
Probably winning. Yeah, it's probably just.
But it's just kind of you're not really sure that whether.
But this doesn't feel as completely winning as what I had before.
No. I mean, but I think it's difficult now. I mean, I think it's just really difficult, and obviously, I mean, your time is starting to to run down as well. So. You haven't got ages and ages for working this out.
Yeah.
I think it is quite complex, to make this. I was not, I didn't really thought somehow here by some miracle, it's already got quite tricky somehow. I mean,
oh well, one more day.
One more day. Brilliant day, Joel. I mean, really great.
Up to a point. All right. Thanks, Matthew.
Yeah, have a good sleep and see you tomorrow. All righty. Well, there we are. That's been an absolutely fantastic day of chess. So Leela managed to repair the damage from the first day somewhat. Winning this day 2-1. Joel came very close to winning a couple of other games, but Leela's defense has proven to be pretty good, and a little bit of endgame magic there from Leela got the win. Joel's leading 3.5, 2.5 going into the final day, and I mean, I think it would have been fair if Joel scored an extra half point somewhere. With the positions that he's had, but on the other hand, that's kind of the thing about Leela, that Leela is unbelievably hard to put away. So it's been an absolutely great match so far. Really looking forward to the next to the final day. So, well, I mean, have a good evening, a good sleep, and hope to see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock UK time, 6 o'clock European time, and was it 12 o'clock? 12 o'clock. I think it's 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And thanks very much, everyone, for all the comments, all the fun, and hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks.